Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, this is like take two because I started recording and then I hit stop and I didn't know and I just kept going. Okay, so let's try this again. I am doing a Q&A. I'm answering questions. I have some questions that are emailed to me from Shao. Thank you for your questions. Um, Okay, so I did a scan around the my area to see who was here to answer questions. So I picked up on Yeshua's energy. I picked up on an Archon. That's an interesting one. I've never connected to one. I've heard. I really don't know much about the Archons. I know that they can be super bad, but they do have their purpose. Um, they do something with timelines. So, yeah, I think there is a question about a timeline or something. Anyway, so there's one that's here. There is an Arcturian, like really high vibrational, at least to me. He feels like he's saying he's from the sixth dimension. He certainly feels like it. He gave me a name that's like ridiculously long, and obviously I can't say that. So I heard the word Jack in there somewhere. So he says that I can call him Jack. He's bald. He has this like violet light color kind of around him. He's like glowing that color. So that tells me it's a pretty high vibrational being. Really light, I guess humanoid. He's kind of like floating. So yeah, at least he has some human features. Yeah, all I see is bald purple light. Okay. And then there is a Pleiadian around me. She has a blue light, a deep blue light, female, feminine energy. She feels really light, like fourth, fifth dimensional, really calming. And she has this like purple, bluish light leaving her third eye region. Guess that's how she communicates. She feels, like I said, really light. I don't know if she's gonna speak. Who else? And then I have a male guide. He's kind of like, I don't know if he'll speak, but traffic control. He's facilitating all of this because I felt maybe like a little uneasy about the Archon being here. But he is like assuring me that he's here in a positive way. He's just here to share information, and that's it. So I don't know if my guide will speak on any of these questions, but yeah, I have a male protective guide around me. Okay, so I'm going to get to it, to the questions. I have it, I'm just using my phone to go into the email. So Shao's first question is, there's a Brazilian guy called John of God who has amazing healing ability. He can perform miracles on people by just touching them to heal their illness instantly. I want to know why some light workers have more powerful healing abilities than others. Okay, so we'll see who steps forward for this one. Yeshua is stepping forward for this one. So he wants to correct one thing. He's saying that it's not that some light workers have a higher healing ability than others. It's just some are tapping into the angelic realm, into his energies even, or even connecting themselves to God a bit more effectively. I guess that's a safe word to use. But it's not that anyone is better than others. We all have an amazing healing capacity in one form or another, okay? So this particular guy from Brazil is tapping into his, first of all, he's connecting to God in a really deep way. So by connecting to his higher self, he's connecting to God, it seems like. More so than ever. And sometimes he's not aware of it. He's connecting to his higher self and angels. Several angels: Gabriel, Raphael, Raziel, Michael. Some female archangels as well. So all of these energies are just pouring into his body, and he's allowing it. Part of it is allowing this to take place. And so much of that energy is within him, and when it goes onto the client or the person he's healing, whether they're ready for this healing or not, it hits them in such a strong way, they just accept it. Because part of the healing is you allowing that to take place, and you're accepting this energy. And so, yeah, that makes him a very effective healer. He's highly connected to those realms. And he does have also like aliens assisting him too. There are Arcturians around him, from what I see. There's the bird people, the avians, they're around him. The eagle people, I say people, they're kind of humanoid to me. I'm not sure what they're called, but they're around him too in a very strong way. So they keep that connection. It seems like they're there to anchor that connection with God and spirit. So they're also pouring their energy into him as well to make him a very effective healer. And he reaches a lot of people, even the skeptics that believe that they cannot heal. They don't believe in energy. He exudes it. And so when you're in his presence, you feel like you're in the presence of God. And any of us can achieve this by connecting to our higher self, to ourselves, and letting go of doubt and fear. And also, this is, Yeshua is telling me, this is, his heart is just glowing. And I just know that he's connecting to my heart from his, and it feels really good. It's not overwhelming. So I'm enjoying this connection. I'm not like, it doesn't take my breath away. Sorry. So he was saying, we can all connect to this. And he also, this is how he connected to God to do his healing, is by really reaching deep into himself and connecting to that God particle, which then strengthens his connection to the energy that we call God, Prime Creator. And so the more you connect to it, the more you become it, the more you walk that life, the more you talk that life. And your gifts just come to you in such a powerful way. It enhances it. So that's what I see. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Are there any races that shapeshift their physical body besides the reptilian race? Okay, who steps forward to this? Yeah, okay, the Pleiadian, the female Pleiadian, she's stepping forward. Yeah, she's showing me many, besides the reptilians. And this is partially due to technology. Reptilians use their technology to shapeshift, and also it's within their ability. Anunnaki, less technology, but more in, they're like, what's the word? They know genetics. They manipulate DNA, they create DNA, genealogists, I guess that's what you would call them. They've introduced that type of science to our society as well. A lot of medicine comes from them. They're highly evolved in that way. And so, yeah, they know how to manipulate their DNA and others and shapeshift. They do it in that way. The Greys, they use more technology though. Arcturians, they change their appearance more for reaching humanity, for communication. They're highly evolved though. They're like in the upper fourth, fifth, and even sixth dimension. And so when you have that light body, you can morph into whatever you want to morph into. But as far as I feel like you're asking, can they appear to you physically and shapeshift? So appear as a human for whatever purposes. And so, yeah, definitely the reptilians, the Anunnaki, the Zetas, Syrians even, shapeshift. They're also using technology. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. Moving on to the next one. Okay. When all of the sequence of big events, like currency resets, mass arrest of cabals, are settled down, will all of the debts be fully forgiven? How about people's homes, mortgages, student loans, that type of debt, especially in the USA, China, and Australia regions? So what is the question? Let me find it. How is all this settled down? And when will this take place, I think? Okay. Whew, that's a really... This seems to be a question that just comes up all the time. So, and there's always like different perspectives and versions. So let's see who steps forward. I feel like I know who's going to come forward. Okay. Yeah, I thought so. So the Archon is stepping forward for this one. And I've never seen one, so I'm going to describe what I see. He's presenting himself like as like half human, half robot, kind of like I think like Terminator. You know, when Arnold is like half. I don't know if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. I know there's multiple sequels to that movie, but he's like half robot and half human. That's how I see this guy that's stepping forward. He's saying he's an Archon. He's here in a positive way just to enlighten us and to give us information, okay? So he's saying, amongst other things that they do, I see him shifting and moving timelines, okay? And they do it on an individual basis, like your reality can just shift and it's them. They're usually involved in that. You go from having like the, whatever, rags to riches, riches to rags, that kind of thing. They're responsible for that. And they do this also because it's part of your life's lesson, something that you need to experience. And also, he's totally being honest. They do this also when it's not necessary. This is something that they lack is intentions. They don't have intentions. They just do things just to do them, I guess. Interesting. So that's, I guess, why we get confused and see them or put fear into them and see them in a negative light. Okay. So let's get to the question, he says. He doesn't wish to give a name. I guess it's not necessary. So he's saying this timeline that you speak of, they always talk in timelines, I guess. This event, the financial reset and all of that, it's kind of already happening individually. And that's because, yes, that version of Earth is already in existence. It's happening already because time is linear. So whether as a collective we're going to meet this timeline or not is what you're asking, right? He's saying that. So I'm assuming that's what she's asking. So yeah, some of us are having that individually because we wish to manifest that timeline. Whether we're aware that we're wishing to manifest it or not. So some of us are going through hard times that... Oh, these pockets. He's showing me like, 1 second. What I think it happened in 2011, the Arab Spring, where there was like mass protests. That's like that timeline slightly like crashing into our timeline. So we did see pockets of it. What happened? I think it was 2008 where the market crashed. That has happened. That's like slightly approaching that timeline, and then we pull back. So whether it fully happens, that will take time. But there are individuals that are already experiencing this, that are going into debt, going into depression, offing themselves because they just can't handle it. But they're just not aware that's what's happening. And those who wish to manifest it, who are always thinking about it, bringing it up, he said, they'll make it happen for you. They'll help you manifest it. It means that you need to go through that lesson or that experience. But there's nothing wrong with bringing awareness to humanity about these types of events. So we're not totally blindsided if we meet this timeline. So yes, he wants to throw caution out there. Like, yeah, be prepared, but don't wrap yourself around that idea and end up manifesting it. This is an event that will take place, but it's not going to happen soon. As a collective, it's happening in pockets individually, but for it to come together as a collective, we are not there yet. We're not collectively manifesting it either because we're still trying to find ourselves. Now, certain sequence of events, he's saying, need to take place before this can happen collectively, because when it does happen collectively, we're going to come out of it in a positive way. In a positive light, okay? We're not going to stay in darkness. And those 3D things that you're asking about as far as mortgage, debt, and all of that, it's not that it's going to be forgiven, but we're completely shifting to a different type. We're going to be united when this happens, okay? So there is going to be a world currency, one currency. So the dollar and the yen and the euro, the paper stuff with the pictures on it, that's what he's saying. I'm just repeating what he's saying, is no longer going to be in existence. He's showing me this like medallion looking gold coin. That is what we're going to use for trade. So I guess when the dollar and the old ways go out the door, so does like mortgages and student loans and all of that you're asking about. So I guess it's called a reset for a reason. I guess it's going to be a reset. So you can choose to say it's forgiven. Or what he wants to say is, starting over, starting fresh. But we have to unite as the human race first in order for us to have a fresh start. So not only is debt being forgiven, but we're forgiving each other for all the sequence of events that will take place before we unite as a race. And so, yeah, we're going to be going in and out of those timelines. We're going to be shifting. Now, when this shift happens, your perception will dictate how it takes place. So if you're perceiving it or to be like something totally I don't want to keep using the word negative, so let's ask him, what should I say? Mass destruction, mass arrest. If you are, so that type of event, if you want it to go that route, then you can manifest that as a collective. But the way that they want you, the angels, the higher beings, to see this is we're going to do it through forgiveness and understanding. Okay, so there will not be a need to bring more violence than there already is, but more understanding of each other so we can grow as humanity, as a human race, if that makes sense. Okay, he's talking really fast, so I'm going to ask him to slow down. He's showing me a lot of pictures. So these pictures he's showing me is different ways this event can take place. So I see a child crying on its own, okay, and no one's there to tend to it. So let me ask him what that represents. Okay, there's like all kinds of destruction happening, and there's a child crying. So he's saying the child represents us, humanity. So we can choose to be taken down by it, I guess, by what's around us. That's one scene. Another scene is, okay, it's kind of cheesy, but I see like two people hugging it out. So that's like resolution that represents forgiveness, understanding, and then there was like darkness and destruction around them, but as they're hugging it out and exchanging that energy, it's like turning to light. So that's another way of doing it. But this is not an event that's avoidable. We're not going to avoid it. We're going to approach it. But humanity needs to be at a certain level before we can approach that event, okay? If that makes sense. But again, if individuals wish to manifest this and experience it, they already are, and it's going to take place. So, okay, moving on to the next question. Oh no, my phone is dying. Okay, once all of the people around the world are fully united in peace, what kind of language will we speak? Will there be a new type of language that's going to be introduced to humanity? Or do we communicate with each other by using telepathy? Okay, Jack, the Arcturian, is stepping forward for this one. He's also like connected to the Federation of Light. I feel like he has this diplomacy, that kind of presence, like he's a council member. So he's saying this is something that's always brought up in discussions when they discuss the state of humanity, how we're going to unite. You know, language divides us, but it also keeps us together in communication. So this again is something that's going to take time. Telepathy is something that will come to us. He's saying like 200 years or so that's down the line. To them, that's like really soon, but to us, it's like further down the line. But before that happens, yeah, languages will come together. It's not going to be a new language, but it seems like it's going to be broken down into regions, you know? So there will be like one spoken, he's showing me there is 4 major languages, okay, that are going to be chosen, and they're going to be chosen based on the regions and the majority that speak it, okay? So Africa, that region, that continent is going to have one that is going to unite the people. The Middle East will have one that will unite the people. Asia will have one that will unite the people, and then the Western world. Okay, so that's how he's breaking it down. All right. I think that's the question. I don't know if there's any more to it that I didn't answer. Okay, yeah, that was it. And then this is the fifth and final question. There are roughly 7 billion people on Earth. I want to know how many people can ascend to the fifth dimension, judging by the current collective consciousness of humanity. Can you give a percentage or an estimate, please? Okay, Jack is sticking around for that question because he's saying his views and perspectives is like more standardized because she's asking for a percentage. So he's coming from like the Federation of Light from how they see it. So currently, the percentage of people of the 7 billion that are awakened it's approaching like 10%. It's like around 9 point something. 9.6%, if you want to be precise about it. Now that doesn't mean these people are already in the fifth dimension, but they are awakened. Their minds and consciousness has awakened to the idea that there is more in front of us. There's more than what's just in front of us, okay? So yeah, it doesn't mean that they're totally there, but they are awakened. That's how that's how he's saying we decide who is on that path to ascension, okay? Now, these people that he speaks of that are awakening to this reality are kind of tapping into fourth dimension, not necessarily fifth. Some of them actually are, there's like a range that's within this number, okay? Some are fully awakened and they're like mainly operating from the fifth dimension. Now, what that means is they're in their physical body, but their consciousness, the way that they view things and the way that they see things is of that level, the fifth dimensional. So they're really high vibrational. And then some are just like starting this journey and they're going into fourth dimension, lower fourth dimension. They have the idea, they have the concept. So that's how he's ranging it. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, I think that's the last of them. Let me double check. Yeah. All right, so thank you for your questions. I really love doing this because I'm learning with everyone. So yeah, I will see you on the next one, and blessings to all of you. Thank you.